Today I'm going to show you how to draw this floor plan using ArchiCAD, and I'm going to begin with the first step, which is how to open a new project in ArchiCAD. Double click on the ArchiCAD icon, and this will appear at the top. Click on this part, click on New. Once you do that, this will appear. Under Template, select ArchiCAD 25 template. Under Work Environment Profile, select Default Profile and click on New. Once you do that, your workspace of the new project will appear. Before we proceed, let's save our project and name it. Click on File, select Save As, and choose a folder to save your project in, and type in the name of your project. Once you're done typing in the name of your project, click on Save. The next step you're going to do is enter settings for our new project. At the top, click on Options, drop down to Project Preferences, and select Working Units. Under Length Unit, select millimeter. You're going to choose 0 for the decimals. For the area unit, select square millimeter. The decimals, choose 0. The volume unit, select cubic meter. For the angle unit, select that. Under layout unit, select millimeter. And for this, select 0 and click OK. Click on Options again. Drop down to Project Preferences and click on Dimensions. And this will pop up. Under Unit, select millimeter and for the decimals, choose 0 and click OK. Now the next step will be drawing grids of our new project. Under Documents, click on Document, drop down to Grid Element tool, double click on it, and this will pop up the Grid Element default settings. Let's begin by entering settings for the floor plan. Under this, select all stories. For the grid line, select dashed line. Click on this part and select this color. For the markers, leave them as they are. And on this part, type 1000. Now let's enter settings for section and elevation. Click on General. For the grid line, select dashed and click on this color. For the markers, type 7000 millimeters, and for this type negative 2000 millimeters. Let's enter settings for naming rules. Click on Generated Names. Start at A, and for the style, choose this. For the marker settings, type 5 millimeters. For the marker pen, select that, and for the text pen, select that. For the marker shape, select circle. Under text style, we are going to choose this style. Click on that, and for this, select that option and choose that. And here type 3 millimeters. Under 3D view, select that, type 0, check that box and choose this. Under classification and properties, these are the settings. Then click OK. Now let's begin drawing our grid line. Click on a point in workspace, drag your mouse and type in the length of your grid line. Type 19,700 millimeters. Let's drag a copy of our grid line. Click on it, right click, drop down to move and select drag a copy. Click on your grid line, drag your mouse and a copy of your grid line will be generated. Right click, select drag a copy and drag it by 2,250 millimeters. Drag another copy and type the distance as 2,550 millimeters. Drag another, let's name this grid line as B. Type C and then type D. Let's draw another grid line. Under Documents, under Document, drop down to Grid Element tool, click on it, click in a point in Workspace, click on a point in Workspace, drag your mouse and click on another point to end your grid line. Click on the grid line and name it 1. Let's drag a copy of this grid line. Right click, click on move, click on drag a copy and drag it by typing in the distance 3,275 millimeters. The other line, we're going to drag it by 1,375 millimeters. Drag that line by 1,775 millimeters. For this other grid line, type 3,350 millimeters. Drag a copy of this line and type the distance as 1,800 millimeters. Drag another copy of this line and type in the distance as 1,670. Drag another copy and type the distance as 2,100 millimeters. Now let's rename our grid lines. Click on the grid line and type 2. For the other one, type 3, type 4, type 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's how you draw grid lines in ArchiCAD. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to draw walls. Under Design, double-click on the Wall tool, and the Wall default settings will pop up. Under Geometry and Positioning settings, we are going to begin by entering settings for the top link. Select that, click on that, and type 200 millimeters. Click on that option and click on that. Select 0, click on 0. For the home storage, select ground floor, which is the current. Under floor plan and section settings, you're going to enter the settings as shown on the screen. And for the model settings, you're going to enter settings for the override services. Click on them, click on this part and select this option. For this other part of the service, select this option, and for this, click on that option. Under Structural Analytical Parameters, you're going to enter the settings as shown on the screen. For the Classification and Properties settings, enter the settings as shown on the screen. Once you're done, click OK. Now let's begin drawing our external walls. Click on this part, drag your mouse and type the length of the wall. Type 15,350 millimeters. Enter. Click on the wall and drag it by 100 millimeters. Click on the wall, right click, click on move and drag a copy from this point all the way to this point. Now let's draw the other part of the external wall. Click on wall, click on this point, drag your mouse and click on this point. Select that wall and drag it by 100 millimeters. Click on the three walls and at the top click on intersect, and the two walls and the three walls will be joined. Let's drag multiple copies of this wall. Click on this part of the wall and drag your mouse and click on this point. Click on this other point. Click on this. Click on this. Click on this part. Click on this one, and this at the top. Click on intersect. Now let's draw the other part of the external wall. Click on wall tool. Click on this part. Drag your mouse and click on this part. Let's drag our wall. Right click, click on move and drag by 100 millimeters. Let's draw another wall from this point all the way to this other point. Drag that wall by 100. Extend this wall all the way to this part. Click on wall. Drag your mouse to this part. Click on wall tool. Click on this part. Drag your mouse and click on the other part. Drag your wall by 100. Enter. Click on the tool and select intersect. At the bottom of this point, click on these two walls and click on intersect. click on wall tool, click on this part and drag your mouse and click on this other point. Drag your wall by 100. And that's how you draw external walls in ArchiCAD. Click on this wall, right click and select wall selection settings, and this will pop up. Type 150 millimeters and click OK. Drag your wall from this point to this other point. And then let's move our wall from this point by 75 millimeters. Let's change the thickness of this wall. Click on it, but let's first split it. Click on this part. Click on this part of the wall. Drag your mouse and enter. Click on the wall. Right click. Select wall selection setting and type the thickness as 150 millimeters. Right click and move your wall from this point to this other point. Right click, drag it by 75 millimeters. Click on that wall, select split, click on this part of the wall, drag your mouse and split your wall and change the thickness to 150 millimeters and click OK. Move from this part to this other part and drag the wall by 75 millimeters. Click on that wall and select trim, and then click on that part of the wall to trim it. Now let's change the thickness of that wall to 150 millimeters and move our wall from this point to that point, and then drag it from that point to that and type 75 millimeters. Let's change the thickness of that wall and type the thickness of the wall as 150 millimeters. And then let's move it from this point to that. Right click, move and drag 8 by 75. Select the wall and click on trim, and then trim that part of the wall. Click on that part of the wall, drag your mouse up to that point, click on this part of the wall, those two walls, and intersect them. Click on that. Click on wall. Click on that part of the wall and draw a wall up to that point. Click on it. Right click and drag a copy by 100. Drag that copy by 1000 millimeters. Click on trim and trim that part of the wall. Click on the wall, right click, select wall selection setting and type 150 millimeters. And that's how you draw or change the thickness of internal walls in ArchiCAD. This is part 2 of this tutorial about how to draw a floor plan using ArchiCAD, and I'm going to continue from where we had stopped in our previous tutorial, and I'm going to begin by showing you how to insert custom text in a floor plan. Under document, double click on text, and the text default settings will pop up. Let's begin by entering settings for the text style. For the font, you're going to choose this font. And then you're going to select Western. The font color, you're going to choose this. You can make your text bold, italic, underline it, or strike through it. But for now, we're going to make our text bold. For the text font size, you're going to type 3 millimeters, and you're going to align it at the center. For the text block formatting setting, we are going to select that option as the anchor point, and then click on paper size. Under properties, these are the settings. On this, confirm that that is checked, and then click OK. Let's insert a custom text in our living room. Click on that point, drag your mouse and click on another point, and then type the name of that room and enter. Click on the text, click on this point and drag your mouse. Click on our text, right click, click on move and select drag. Click on the text and move your mouse, and your text will be dragged. Type 1.9 as the font size. Now let's name our master bedroom. Click on text under document. Click on this point, drag your mouse, and then type master bedroom. Click on the text, click on a point and drag your mouse and drag your text at point. Change the font size to 1.9 millimeters. Type 1.9 millimeters and click OK. Let's drag a copy of our master bedroom text. Click on it, but let's adjust it. Click on the text, right click, click on move and select drag a copy. Click on the text, drag your mouse, and a copy of the text will be dragged. Click inside the text and name it this. Now let's drag multiple copies of this text. Click on the text and move your mouse and position this text there. Position another text in this point, and on this other point, click on that. Click on this part and this other part, and here too. Now let's change the name of our text, click inside it and type dining room. Click on this and type kitchen. For this, we are going to name it bedroom 1. Click on this part and name it bedroom 2. Drop down to this part and name it entry porch. And that's how you insert custom text in a floor plan. Now the next step in this tutorial is how to draw a slab. You're going to click on this part under design, select slab and double click it, and the slab setting will pop up. Let's begin by entering setting for geometry and positioning. Click on that. Click on this part and change the thickness of the slab to 150 millimeters and select concrete structural. For the home story, select ground floor, which is the current. Under floor plan and section settings, these are the settings that you're going to enter. For the model setting, the override services, click on that point, click on this part, and you're going to change this surface to select this. For this other override service, click on that and you're going to select this. And for the other part of the service of our slab, you're going to choose that. For the structural analytical parameters, select undefined. Classification and properties settings, these are the settings you're going to choose. And once you're done, click on OK. Before we begin, select this for the geometry method, and then let's begin drawing our slab. And you're going to begin from this point. Click on that point, drag your mouse and begin drawing your slab. Click on that point, click on this point, click on this other point, click on this other point, of the floor plan and click on that point on this other point and then click on this point to end drawing your slab. Let's view our slab in 3D to see our progress, and this is how our slab will appear, and that's how you draw a slab using ArchiCAD. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to insert doors in a floor plan using ArchiCAD. Under Design, drop down to Door, double click on it, and the door default settings will pop up, and you're going to select sliding doors. Click on that, and there are several options you can choose, but you're going to select this. Under Preview and Positioning, type 2400 millimeters as the height and 900 as the width. For the sliding door settings, you're going to choose this style for the door lift, and for the handle, we are going to choose this option. For the door settings and openings, we are going to enter settings. For the model attributes, under frame, lift, and search services, we are going to choose this option, and you're going to select this. For the floor plan and section settings, these are the settings you're going to choose. For the dimension marker, you're not going to enter any setting. For the classification and properties settings, you're going to enter these settings, and once you are done, click OK. Click in a point in this part of the wall to enter or position your door, and that's how you insert a door in a floor plan. Let's view our progress in 3D, and this is how our door will appear in 3D. Now let's insert another door on this part. Click on door, and you're going to select this type of door. Under preview and positioning, for the height, you're going to enter 2400 millimeters. For the sliding door setting, you're going to choose this style. For the handle, we're going to select that. Under door settings and openings, the model attributes, you're going to choose that and that. For the floor plan and section settings, those are the settings. These are the settings for classification and properties. Click in the wall to insert a door. Let's view it in 3D, and that's how this door will appear in 3D. Click on door and let's choose hinged door, and you're going to select this type of door. Under preview and positioning setting, type in 2400 millimeter. For the hinged door setting, select this style. For the door handle, select this option. Under door settings and opening, model attributes, we are going to choose this option and this option and then this option, and then click OK. Now let's insert doors on the other rooms. Click on that. Click on that point of the wall. Drag this door. Insert a door there. Insert another door in this room. Let's insert another door in this other room and this other room. And that's how you insert doors in a floor plan using ArchiCAD. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to insert windows in a floor plan using ArchiCAD. Under Design, drop down to Window tool, double click on it, and the window default settings will pop up. We are going to choose this type of window, sliding window. Click on this type. Under preview and positioning settings, these are the dimensions for the width and height of the window. For the seal to story settings, type 100 millimeters. For the sliding window settings, click on model attributes. and you're going to select a paint for the frame and sash services, and you're going to choose this paint. Click on the same paint, click on that paint and that paint, and for the glass you're going to choose that. For the floor plan and section settings, these are the settings: dimension marker settings, and the classification and properties settings. Those are the settings. Click OK, and then click in a point of our wall to insert a window. Let's insert another window in that wall. Let's insert another window in the kitchen wall. For the master bedroom wall, insert a window in that point. Insert another window in this point. Another one in this other point. For the bedroom 2 wall, insert a window there. Let's move this window from that point to this point. Now we're going to insert windows in these 2 rooms. Click on the window tool, double click on it, and you're going to choose this type of window under basic windows. Drop down and select this type of window. Under preview and positioning settings, type 800 millimeters by 800 millimeters. For the sill to window dimension, type 1600 millimeters. For the basic window settings, click on window settings and opening. Click on model attributes and select that paint. And for the glass, you're going to choose this type of glass. These are the settings for floor plan and section, dimension marker, and classification and properties settings. Once you're done, click on OK. Click in this part of the wall to insert our window, and the same for this other part of the wall. Let's insert a window on this part of the wall of the master bedroom. Double click on the window tool and select sliding windows and choose this type of window. Under preview and positioning settings, type 2900 millimeters, 1800 millimeters. For the sill to story dimensions, type 100 millimeters. For the sliding window settings, click on Window Settings and open it, and select this type of paint for the frame and sashes. And for the glass, select that. For the floor plan and section settings, these are the settings. For the dimension marker settings and classification and properties settings, click in this part of the wall to insert our window. And that's how you insert windows in ArchiCAD. In this other step, I'm going to show you how to insert objects in a floor plan using ArchiCAD. And you're going to begin with living room objects. Under design, drop down to object, double click on it. Under furnishing, click on sofas and couches. And you're going to select this type of sofa. Once you're done, click OK. Click in a point in the living room to insert our object. Click on it, right click, click on move, and click rotate to rotate our object to that position. And then let's move it to this position. Let's view our progress in 3D. And this is how our object will appear in 3D. Now let's insert a table in our living room. Click on object, type table. There are different types of tables to insert in a floor plan, but you're going to choose this type of table and click OK. Click in a point in the floor plan to insert our table. Let's view it in 3D. And this is how it will look like. Now let's insert a TV stand. Under object, type TV, and you're going to choose this TV stand. Click OK. Click in a point in the living room to insert that object and drag it to this point. Let's view it in 3D, and this is how it will appear. Now let's insert a TV on top of that TV stand. Choose that TV and click OK. Let's view our TV in 3D. and this is how it will appear. Let's move it and place it on top of the TV stand. For the other objects of the other rooms, follow the same process we have done when inserting objects for the living room, and you can go through this library of objects and select the type of object you want to insert. This is part 3 of this tutorial about how to draw a floor plan in ArchiCAD, and we are going to continue from where we had stopped in our previous tutorial, and I'm going to begin by showing you how to draw a column in a floor plan using ArchiCAD. Under design, on this part, drop down to column tool, double click on it, and the column default settings will pop up. Click on column and type 300 millimeters by 500 millimeters. Under positioning settings, click on not linked and type the height of the column as 3300 millimeters. Under positioning settings, type 0, select that and select that. Under this, choose ground floor as the current, and this choose zone boundary. Select top and select bottom. Under segment setting, these are the settings that you're going to choose. Under model settings, select that and that. These are the settings for classification and properties. Under floor plan and section settings, these are the settings we are going to choose. And for the structural analytical parameters, the setting, these are the settings for classification and properties. Then click OK. Click on this point to insert your column. Select your column and then rotate your column. Drag a copy of your column and place it there. Now let's insert columns in this part of the entry porch. Under design, click on column, then select column, and you're going to type 60 millimeters by 200 millimeters. Under segment settings, click on model settings and select this. And click on this part and select this. And then click OK. Click in this part of the entry porch to insert your column. Rotate that column and then drag it and position it there. Move and drag it and position it here. Let's drag a copy of this column. Move by dragging it this. Drag a copy of that column and drag a copy of that column again. Let's drag another copy. Now in this other step, I'm going to show you how to draw a slab in ArchiCAD. Under Design, click on Slab tool and the slab default settings will pop up. These are the settings for the geometry and positioning. Select ground floor and on this one choose this. Under floor plan and section settings, we are going to enter those settings. These are the settings for model. Let's choose this. Before we begin drawing our slab, let's make some changes of our slab. Under Design, drop down to Slab tool, double click on it, and then we're going to change the thickness and height of our column. Type 300 millimeters. That's the thickness. And for the height, type 3300 millimeters. Click on that and select this option. For these, choose ground floor, which is the current. And these are the settings for floor plan and section. These are the settings for model, override services. And you're going to choose concrete. We're going to choose stucco white rough. And these are the settings for structural analytical parameters. And these are the settings for classification and properties. And then click OK. At the top, click on this. And then let's begin drawing our slab. Click on that point click on that point and that other point, and click on this point, this other point, click on this, and then drop down to this. Now let's view our progress in 3D, and this is how our slab will look like. Click on ground floor and let's draw a slab roof. Double click on slab tool, under geometry, under design, drop down to slab tool, under geometry and positioning, change the height to 400 and 4200 millimeters. For the model settings, select that and click OK. Click on this point to begin drawing our slab. Click on that point, click on this other point, on this other point, click on this point, and then click here. Now let's view our progress in 3D, and that's how you draw a slab using ArchiCAD. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to draw timber cladding in ArchiCAD, and you're going to draw timber cladding on these two parts of our floor plan. Let me show you in 3D this part, and on this other part, that's where we are going to place our timber cladding. Click on ground floor, under design, double click on wall tool, and the wall default settings will pop up. Under geometry and positioning settings, select that and click on not linked, and then change the height to 150 millimeters, and then the thickness, type 75 millimeters. Click on that. Then select ground floor. For the floor plan and section settings, these are the settings. Under model settings, for the override services, we are going to choose this and that, and click on that. For the structural and analytical parameters, these are the settings. For the classification and properties settings, enter these settings and click OK. Now let's begin drawing our timber cladding. Click on this point of the wall, drag your mouse and click on this point. Type 2300 millimeters. Let's mirror a copy of that timber cladding. Click on move and select mirror a copy. Let's rotate that copy and position it here. Let's view our progress in 3D. And these are our timber claddings that we have drawn. And now we are going to make copies of the timber cladding to cover the whole wall. Let's open this elevation. And you're going to drag a copy of this timber cladding. Select drag a copy. Click on this point and click on that point. Now let's move it by 8 millimeters. Let's view our change in 3D, and this is the copy we have created. Now let's open this elevation. Click on that cladding, right click, and then select drag a copy and position it here. Let's see our change in 3D. Let's open this elevation and then drag multiple copies of this cladding to cover the whole wall. Click on drag multiple copies. Click on that point and position this copy there. And let's drag other copies and repeat the same process. Click on this. Click on this point. Let's drag copies of those selected claddings. Click on that point. Click on that point. Drag a copy and click on this point. Do the same and click on this other point. Click on this point. Drag a copy and place copy of those claddings and place them there. And place other copies here. Let's delete these two extra claddings and view our progress in 3D. And this is how our wall will appear. Now let's do the same for this other part of the wall. Click on this elevation, right click and click on open with current view. And now we are going to drag copies of this cladding. Drag, select cladding and drag a copy of that cladding and position it on this point. Now let's drag other copies and repeat the same process. Select those claddings and drag a copy and place it here. Another copy, place it here. Let's place another copy of the claddings here. Place other copies here. Do the same for this. Place other copies here. Repeat the same process for the rest of the wall. Let's view our progress. in 3D. And this is how our wall will look like. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to insert dimensions in a floor plan using ArchiCAD, and I'm going to show you how to do that in two methods. One will be manual and the other one will be automatic dimensioning. Now let's begin with the manual way of inserting dimensions. Under Document, click on Dimension Tools, double click on it, and the dimension default settings will pop up. Let's enter settings for the dimension type. Click on that. Select this type of marker. Click on this type. Select this option. For the marker pen, you're going to choose that. And for the dimension line pen, you're going to select that. Let's enter settings for the text style. We are going to choose Arial and we're going to select Western. For this pen, we are going to choose that color. This is the font size. You can make it bold, italic, you can underline it or strike through it. Click on this option. For the marker and witness line option, these are the settings. These are the settings for the pointer. Select this line. For the line pen, select that. Click on that. For the arrow head, select that. Type that. And for this, click on this. For the dimension detail setting, these are the settings. Then click OK. Now let's enter dimensions. Click on dimension and then click on this part of the wall. Click once, click on this wall, click on this other wall, click on this wall, click this wall, and click on this, and then click on a part on this side, click once, and your dimensions will be placed. That's the first method of inserting dimensions in a floor plan in ArchiCAD. Let me show you the other method, which enters dimensions automatically. So under design, click on wall tool, click on edit, and select all walls. Confirm that all your walls have been selected. On the top, click on document and drop down to annotation. Then select automatic dimensioning and click on exterior dimensioning, and the automatic dimensioning will pop up. Click on this box, check this one, check this other box, and check this other box. This is how our dimensions will look like. Click on opening end points, select that, click on this part, and this is the distance between dimension lines, and then check this box, place dimensions on 4 sides, and click OK. Click on this part of the wall of the workspace, drag your mouse and click on this part, and your dimensions will be inserted in all 4 sides. Now let's select all the dimensions and move them to that point, and do the same for the other dimensions. And that's how you insert dimensions in a floor plan using ArchiCAD. This is part 4 of this tutorial about how to draw a floor plan using ArchiCAD, and we are going to continue from where we had stopped in our previous tutorial. And I'm going to begin by showing you how to open and edit an elevation using ArchiCAD. Click on the elevation, right click, and select Open with Current View Settings, and this elevation will appear. We are going to edit this elevation and make it more attractive. Right click, we are going to begin by right clicking and drop down to elevation settings, and the elevation selection settings will appear. Under model appearance, we are going to begin with cut elements. Click on cut fill. Under uniform services, we are going to select this. That's the first edit, and then click OK. Right click and click on elevation settings. Under uncut elements, click on this and click OK. And you'll notice there is a change in our elevation. Right click drop down to elevation settings, and under uncut elements select that pen and click OK. Click on elevation settings and select transparency. Check that box and click OK. And you'll notice our windows are now transparent. Right click, select elevation settings. Under shadow, check that box which is under sun settings. Those are the angles, and click OK. And you'll notice there is now a shadow in our elevation. The next step I'm going to show you is how to insert objects in an elevation. And you're going to begin by inserting people in this elevation. Under design, drop down to object tool, and this will pop up. At the top, type people, scroll down, and you're going to choose this. Now let's enter settings. Under preview and positioning setting, this is the width, the length, and the height of this object. Under custom settings, click on 2D representation, and here you can change the type of fill. Under 3D representation, these are the settings. And under floor plan and section elevation, these are the settings. Under model settings, this is where you can edit them. And these are the classification and properties settings. Once you're done entering the settings, click OK. And then click once in the floor plan to insert your object. Now let's change the fill type of this object. Click on the object, right click, and click on Object Selection Settings. Under Custom Settings, click on this type for fill and then click OK. That's how you can change the fill type. Now in this other step, I'm going to show you how to insert trees in our elevation. Under Design, drop down to Object Tool and at the top, type Trees and select this tree. Under Preview and Positioning Settings, these are the settings for our tree, and this is the height. These are the settings for this tree. Under this, click on 2D representation, and for the view type, select symbolic side view, and for the symbol type, we are going to choose this type and then click OK. Click once in the elevation and your object will be inserted. Click on the object, right click, click on Object Selection Settings. Under Preview and Positioning, type 7,000 as the height of our tree. Click on it and drop down to Display Order and click on Send Backward. Click on it again and your tree is now in the background. Now let's drag a copy of this tree and place it here. Now let's edit this tree, and you are going to choose this type of symbol. Click on that and then click OK. Drag a copy and place it there. Then let's drag a copy of this and place it there. Now I'm going to show you how to insert a vehicle in this elevation. Under Design, drop down to Object Tool and then type car and then drop down to this car symbol. Click on it. Under Preview and Positioning, These are the settings, and these are the settings for the custom of this object. Click on all parameters and click on car elevation style, and you're going to choose this style. Click on all parameters. Under sample style, and this is the view type. Click on side. For 2D representation, choose this pen. These are the settings for the floor plan and section. These are the settings for the model, and these are the settings for classification and properties, and then click OK. Click once to insert your object, and then move and drag this object and place it there. Now let's edit this elevation. Let's edit this object. Under custom settings, we are going to choose front and click OK. And that's how you edit an elevation in ArchiCAD. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to create and how to edit sections using ArchiCAD. Under Viewpoint, select Section tool, click on it, click in this point, drag your mouse and click on this point to end your section line. Click on this section, right click and select section selection settings, and this will pop up. Now let's begin entering settings for this section. Under general settings, for the reference ID, type A. Under this, select this option. For this, select this option. For the status, choose that. For show on stories, select that. Under horizontal range, choose infinite. For the vertical range, select that. For the model appearance, these are the settings. For the marker settings, we are going to select this line, dot, and dashed. For the pen, select that. Click on continuous and select this and check these boxes. For this, select this option. For the marker size, type 3 millimeters and then select that. For the marker text style, you can make it bold, italic, underline it, or strike through it. you can align them in these options. These are the settings for marker symbol and text. Select that. For the marker style, choose this. For the fields and colors, select this option and then choose align with section line. These are settings for the story levels. And these are settings for the story levels text style. These are the settings for the story levels symbol and text. And these are the grid tool settings. And then click OK. Click on section line, right click and select open with current view settings. And this is how section looks like. And we are going to begin by drawing the foundation, which will be a strip foundation. Under document, drop down to line tool, click on that point, drag your mouse and type 1200 millimeters by 200 millimeters. Type 200 millimeters. Type 600 millimeters. 200 millimeters. 200 millimeters. And type 1200 millimeters and join those points. Select all our lines. At the top, click on Edit, Grouping, and select Ungroup. Join these lines. Under Document, click on Fill. Select that. Click on these points to draw your fill. Now let's edit our fill. Click on it, right click and select Fill Selection Settings. And you're going to choose Structural Concrete and click OK. Let's change the color. Now let's draw a fill for the wall of our foundation. Click on the fill, right click, and let's change this fill to masonry block. Change the pen to that and click OK. Now let's drag a copy of this foundation. Right click, click on move, drag multiple copies and place the copies here and here. Under document, click on line tool and then draw a line here. Drag your mouse, click on the line, move by drag a copy of 250 millimeters. click on line, click on this part, drag your mouse and type 1400 millimeters by 45 degrees. Let's join these lines. Move by mirror copy to this point. Move by drag it to this point. Drag a copy and place it here. Drag a copy of this and place it here. Move by dragging a copy, drag it that point, join those lines. Mirror a copy and drag this line to this point. Click on line, click on that point, draw your line on this other end too, then join this line, trim that part and this other part. The next step will be drawing fill under document. Before we begin that, let's draw another line, and this time we are going to drag a copy by 50 millimeters and place it there. Under document, drop down to fill, click on fill tool, click on that point, that other point, and the other points as shown on the screen. Let's change the fill type. Click on fill selection settings and select this type of fill. Now let's draw the other part of the foundation. Click on fill and let's draw fill as shown on the screen. Click on the fill, right click, fill selection and select earth, and then click on this part to change the color of the line and click OK. Send it back, and that's how you draw a strip foundation using ArchiCAD. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to insert objects in a section. Let's continue. Under design, drop down to object. Under design, drop down to object tool, click on it, and the object default settings will pop up. Type trees. These are the options you have. Click on that. Under preview and positioning, these are the settings for trees, and this is where you can change dimensions of the object. This is the height of the object. Under these settings, click on that and select 2D representation. Under view type, click on symbolic side view, and you're going to select this type of tree and change this color to that. These are the settings for the floor plan and section, and these are the settings for model. These are the settings for classification and properties, and click OK. Click once to insert object. Click on the object, right click, and click on object selection settings. Under preview and positioning, type 6500 limiter. Click on object. Under display order, send to back. Drag and position it there. Drag a copy of this object. Now let's insert shrubs in this elevation. Under design, drop down to object tool, click on it, and then type shrub. Click on this. Under preview and positioning, here you can type in the dimensions of this object. Under shrub setting, choose this. Click on this part and select 2D representation. For the view type, select symbolic side view, and for this, choose that color. For the symbol type, choose that. These are the settings for floor plan and section. These are the settings for model, and these are the settings for classification and properties. Then click OK. Click once to insert your shrub. Now let's change the dimensions of our shrub. Under preview and positioning, type 2000 millimeters. Let's change it. Type 1000 millimeters. Now let's change this to 900 millimeters. Let's drag a copy of that object. Move by dragging a copy of these two objects. Now in this next step, I'm going to show you how to label parts of a section. Now let's begin. Under document, drop down to label tool, double click on it, and the label default settings will pop up. Under type and preview, these are the settings. Select that. Under text style, you can change the text. Under this, select that. You're going to select that. You can make it bold, italic, underline it, or strike through. These are the alignments of the labels, and this is the height or the size of the font. Choose that. These are the settings for the pointer. We are going to select that. We are going to choose this line. Click on that. Select that. Choose that one. Let's click on that. And for this, select that. Type 45 degrees. For the arrow head, we are going to choose this option. Type 2 millimeters. And for this pen, select that. These are the settings for text label. And these are the settings for properties. Then click OK. Let's begin by labeling our foundation. Click once and your label will be inserted. Click on that label. Let's change the position of our label. Now let's type in details for our foundation. Once we are done typing in the details for this, let's insert labels for the other parts of this section. And that's how you draw and label a section in ArchiCAD. This is part 5 of this tutorial about how to draw a floor plan using ArchiCAD 25, and we are going to continue from where we had stopped in our previous tutorial, and I'm going to begin by showing you how to create a master layout in ArchiCAD. Click on Window, drop down to Toolbars, and then select Layouts and Drawings. And this will appear. Click on it, move your mouse and place it there. Click on New Master Layout, and this will appear. Now let's enter settings for name and size. Under name, we are going to name it Spectrum Virtual Assistance New Master Layout. Under size, we are going to choose that. These are the settings for margin, type 15 millimeters. For this, these are the settings for the size, and then click on landscape. These are the settings for printable area, and for the anchor point, select that point. For display master layout, select below layout, and these are the settings for drawing placement. Click on auto arrange new drawing, and then click on create, and this will appear. So now let's begin customizing our master layout. Under document, drop down to line tool. Under geometry method, select that. The line type, choose solid, and for the pen, change it to that. Click on this point, drag your mouse and click on this point. Under document, click on line. Under geometry method, select that. Click on this point, drag your mouse and click on this point. Now let's insert text in our master layout. Under document, drop down to text tool, click on it, click once in our master layout, drag your mouse and type in details of our text. Click on text. Let's change the font size to 2 millimeters. You can change the text style to bold, make it italic, underline it. Let's choose underline. These are the alignment settings. Let's choose that. And for the pen, you're going to choose that. Let's insert details of our note. Let's change the font to 3 millimeters. Under document, click on text and change it to 2 millimeters. The text pen, make it that. Click once in our layout and type in details of our notes. Once you've done that, under document, click on line tool, click on this point, drag your mouse and click on this point. Click on our text and drag a copy to this point and then type fire notes. Click on that part. Click on our line. Let's drag a copy of our line and you're going to drag it by 22 millimeters. Let's move this to this point and change it to 2 millimeters. Click on our line, move by drag a copy by 1 millimeter. Move this line by 1 millimeter. Under document, click on line tool, draw a line on this part and move it by 1 millimeter. And then let's drag another line here. Let's move it by 1 millimeter. Select these lines. Click on this part and trim these lines. Now let's drag multiple copies of our lines. Select all of this. Then let's drag multiple copies and place it there. First copy. Place another copy here. Another one on this point and this other point. Let's change the name of our text to project title. On this part, type working drawings. And on this, type client details. And use the same process to create this part of our master layout. Click on line and draw a line on this part. Drag a copy of this line and then join those two lines. And that's how you draw a customized master layout in ArchiCAD. You can click on this part, layout book, and drop down, and here is our master layout. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to place views or elevations on a layout. And we are going to place our elevations on the layout that we created. So let's begin. At the top, click on New Layout, and this will pop up. Now let's begin by entering settings for identification and format. Under Layout ID, check that. Under Layout Name, we are going to name it South Elevation. Under Master Layout, we are going to choose Spectrum Virtual Assistant Layout that we had created. Under IDs of drawings on this layout, these are the settings, and then click Create. So now we are going to open our south elevation and place it on our layout. Click on ground floor, click on south elevation, right click, open with current view settings, right click, and select Save View and Place on Layout. Click once on the layout to place your elevation. Click on it. Click on this point. Drag your mouse and select Move Sub Element. You can move your elevation to this point. Let's adjust it. Click on this point and click on that. Move it to this point, and on this point, move it to this point. Click on this part, select Move Sub Element and move it to that point. That's how you place and adjust an elevation on a layout. Now let's place this elevation on our layout. Click on New Layout. Under Identification and Format, drop down to Layout ID. Check that. Under Layout Name, type in West Elevation. Under Master Layout, select that. These are the settings for IDs of drawings on this layout. Click Create. Now let's open our West Elevation. Click on Elevation Line. Right click. Open with Current View Settings. Right click. Click on Save View and Place on Layout. Click once to place it on our layout. Click on it. Click on this part and move sub element to this point. Now let's adjust this point. Place it there. Click on this point and place it on that. Click on this other point and place it there. Click on this part. Move sub element that point. Now let's place another elevation. Click on ground floor. We are going to place elevations for those two and our section 2. So let's begin with the north elevation. Click on New Layout. Under Identification and Format, name it North Elevation. Under Master Layout, select this layout and then click Create. Let's open our north elevation. Click on it, right click and select Open with Current View Setting. Right click, click on Save View and Place on Layout. Click on this point and move our sub element. Click on this part and place it there. Move this point to that point. Move that other point, that point, and move our sub element to this point. Now let's open another elevation, and you're going to open and create a new layout for this elevation. Let's create a new layout. Click on new layout under identification and format. Name this layout as east elevation. Under master layout, select that and then click create. Now let's open our east elevation. Right click, open with current view setting. Right click, click on save view and place on layout. Click on this part and move our sub element to that point. Adjust these parts of our elevation. Click on this part and move it at point. Now let's create a layout for our section and place it on our master layout. At the top, click on new layout and name it sectional elevation S01. Under master layout, select that and then click on create. Now let's open our sectional elevation. Right click, click on save view and place on layout. Click on that point and adjust these points. Move that point to this part to this area, and then move this sub element to that point. And that's how you place views on a layout in ArchiCAD. Click on layout book, and here are your layout. You can confirm the details on this part. So in this next step, I'm going to show you how to publish layouts that you have just created into a PDF. So let's begin. You're going to click on our layout book, and once again, let's confirm the details of our layouts. And once we have confirmed everything is okay, we are going to proceed and publish them. You're going to begin by publishing our floor plan. On the right side, click on Publisher Sets, drop down to this point and click New Publisher Set, and let's name it Spectrum Virtual Assistance New Publisher Set, and then click Create. After that, drop down to Publishing Properties on this part, click on it, and this will pop up. Let's begin entering our settings. Under Publishing Method, select Save Files, and you're going to select Create a Real Folder Structure. Under File Details, select the folder you want your drawings to be published in, and then click OK. After that, we are going to click on Project Chooser and then select Show Organizer. And this will pop up. Select Publisher Sets, the one that we had created. Click on our floor plan layout. Confirm that under Publisher Sets, our Publisher Set is checked. Click on Floor Plan Layout. Drag it and place it in our Publisher Set. Now let's publish our layout. Click on it. On this part, click on Selected Items and then click on Publish. Confirm that the status says saved. Close, and let's open our folder and confirm if our layout has been published. And here it is. This is how it will look like after being published into a PDF. Now let's publish another layout. Under Layout Book, click on South Elevation. Here it is. Click on Project Chooser and drop down to Show Organizer. Click on South Elevation and drag it and place it in our Publisher Set. Select it and click Publish. Shows it's been saved. Close it and confirm it in our folder. Let's open and view it. And here it is. Now let's publish another layout. Click on Layout Book. Click on West Elevation. Confirm the details. Click on Project Chooser and click on Show Organizer. Drag our layout and place it in our publisher set. Click on it and click on Publish. Once it has been saved, let's open our folder and confirm that. Let's open our elevation, and here it is. Now let's publish this elevation. Click on Project Chooser. Drop down to Show Organizer. Click on our elevation and drag it into our publisher set. Click on it and click Publish. Let's open our elevation. Now let's publish the other elevation. Click on East Elevation. Click on Project Chooser and select Show Organizer. After that, drag our elevation into our publisher set and publish it. Once it has been saved, open our folder and confirm details of our elevation. Now let's publish our final layout. Click on Project Chooser. Click on Show Organizer. Click on Layout. Drag it into our publisher set and click on Publish. Confirm that it has been saved and open our folder. And here is our elevation. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to publish multiple elevations at once. Select all layouts and drag them into publisher set. Select all of them and then click on Publish. Once under status, it shows that it's been saved. Open our folder and confirm if our elevations have been published into it. and here are our layouts.